Guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about, will the CEUs that you earned prior to becoming certified through the American Health Information Management Association or the American Academy of Professional Coders, will they count towards the CEUs that you need to maintain that certification? If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Okay, guys, so I'm answering this very question today. And first, I want to say this. Whether you are getting certified with AHIMA, the American Health Information Management Association, or AAPC, the American Academy of Professional Coders, both answers are the same. Any continuing education units earned prior to your certification will not count towards the CEUs required to maintain that certification. You have to earn the CEUs after you get your certification. So here's the thing. Let's start off with, what are CEUs, continuing education units? So every single medical coding certification or specialty credential or degree designation, they all have a CEU requirement, continuing education unit requirement. And what this means is, because we are in an intellectual field, we have to maintain our knowledge, because knowledge today is not the same as 5 years ago, okay? So in that time, we still have to continue to build, and we still have to continue to keep our knowledge up to date with the latest and greatest in the industry. And how do we do that? By reporting continuing education units. Now, the associations, American Health Information Management Association and the American Academy of Professional Coders, have different amounts required on their credentials. So whichever association you go with is going to be different, okay? And sometimes they have a breakdown of what percentage needs to be in what certain range and things like that. So you have to really look at your credential and what you're getting and what the association is going to require for you to maintain that with continuing education. And so this continuing education helps us to stay up to date with everything. And how do we earn these? Sometimes it is a benefit of employment when you are employed. Myself, for example, we get CEUs that are from AAPC every single month. So we have a coding class, and that is presented to us every single month. And we sit there and we listen for an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, and that is how we are able to collect our CEUs. Most of the time it's an hour and a half that we have been having these classes. So with that, I am able to report my continuing education units that came from AAPC. I am able to use those on my AHIMA credentials, right? Because I am in no way affiliated with AAPC. I am affiliated with AHIMA. And they do accept AAPC CEUs. However, I will say this: if you have an AHIMA certification, there is a stipulation, or it's going to be put into effect next year, something like that, from what I heard, that a certain amount has to be from AHIMA and AHIMA products. So just keep that in mind, okay? If you are getting your CEUs and they're from AAPC, then you may want to look at other alternatives that are AHIMA approved, basically through their vendors, okay? So that's just something that you got to keep in mind if you're with AHIMA. Now, I believe that's going to go into effect in January, I believe. Don't quote me, do not quote me. But just know that, okay? And your CEU center, if you're with AHIMA, your CEU center will tell you what domains you still need to have your CEUs in. So it's very organized on the website, and that way you can collect all of your CEUs that you need. For example, with AHIMA, if you have the CCS, the CCA, or the CCSP, any one of these, right, it is 20 for one. It goes up as you have more. For myself, for example, I have the CCS and the CCSP. I owe 30 to AHIMA. So it goes up every single time. So just so you know that. With AAPC, if you have one certification, it is 36 continuing education units for one, okay? And as you acquire more certifications with AAPC, it does go up, just so you know. And so that's why I always tell y'all to be very selective when you are adding on additional certifications. Don't be out there willy-nilly just throwing your money away and for credentials that say a lot of the same thing. I'm just saying, okay? I'm not against education. What I am against is people spending their money because they think it's going to make them more money. No, your knowledge is what makes you more money, not the amount of certifications after your name. Because let's not forget, I had the CCA for 13 years by itself. I ran circles around nurses and other veteran medical coders. Not only that, I outpaced them salary-wise as well with one certification. So I'm just saying, but you do that by being smart. You do that by being knowledgeable in your craft and continually, making sure that you are educated and you're staying ahead of the pack. That's how you do that, okay? Not by racking up a bunch of credentials that are saying a lot of the same thing, okay? Unless you are getting specialty certifications like for CDI and that kind of thing, then that's different, something different than, medical coding, okay? So I'm going to read this right here. And this is from AAPC Medical Coding Continuing Education Unit Policy. Directly from the horse's mouth, they say CEUs earned prior to certification will not be accepted. CEUs must come from the AAPC approved CEU vendor list. CEUs must be earned and submitted within your 2-year renewal period. Excess CEUs do not carry over to the next renewal period. So with AHIMA or AAPC, you do have 2 years to report however many continuing education units you're required to report, okay? So in the case of the person who has the one certification, the CCA, CCS, or CCSP with AHIMA, you have the 2 years to report your 20 CEUs. If you are with AAPC and you have the CPC certification, right? You have 36 that you have to report, and you have 2 years to report those, okay? So just something that you got to know, okay? It's for the 36, you have that for those 2 years. And then with AHIMA, you have the 20, okay? If you have the one certification, the CCA, CCS, or CCSP. So if you earn over, and it's always easy to start earning over what you're required, especially if you attend the live events like the national conference and things like that. It's very easy to start racking up credentials. Listen to me. It's very easy to start racking up CEUs very quickly while you're there, and then all the other ones that you've been reporting in the meantime, in between time. So there's going to be some years where you're going to earn a lot more CEUs, and it's just because you're going to these events, or you have more things that you're learning at work or whatever, or you're taking a class and it's giving you more CEUs. So there's always ways of doing those types of things, and so that's just something that you got to know. But if you earn in excess, so let's just say, for example, I owe 30 and I report 50. 20 of those CEUs are not going to be able to carry over to next year. It's just saying, okay, way to go. She did 50 CEUs in her reporting period. Good for her, but it's not going to count towards the next year. I would have to start again because information gets updated and they want to make sure that you are reporting the latest and greatest about those things. Now, these CEUs, they can be basically from anywhere. HC Pro, or I've talked about HC Pro before. Let me put this in here. They have boot camps, and I have recommended the boot camps if you have knowledge of something but you need a little bit more supplemental learning, right? I recommend the boot camps from HC Pro. I did the one for CDI and I did the one for inpatient coding. Now, because I know a little bit about both of those, that helped me because you only get 60 days to access this material. And once you complete all the material, then you can get the CEUs for those courses that you did. So the year that I did 2 of those, I had a lot. I had a lot of CEUs, and so that was fantastic for me. But it even says on the CEUs that, let's see, can I pull it up? Coding. Let's see. it'll tell you how many CEUs let me go here, hold on. Inpatient, HC Pro, inpatient coding boot camp, here we go. All right. Here we go. Yeah. All right, come on. So while it is loading up, there we go. This is $1,299, $1,299 for the inpatient coder boot camp. And like I said, it helped me to like kind of get that push to really understand a lot of the things that I was missing on inpatient coding, because again, a lot of this is self-taught, especially with this inpatient stuff. But HC Pro did a really good job of their course, I think. So the CE credit, so continuing education, and it says right here, if you take this one, let's just say, for example, you take this course, this certified coder bootcamp inpatient version, right? You take this one, the online version, $1,299. It says if you're with AAPC, this program has been approved by AAPC for 35.5 continuing education hours. What did I say? It's 36 continuing education units for one certification. So if you take this, you got almost everything that you need, right? Except for a half. But you can easily find that anywhere, right? And it says granting of prior approval in no way constitutes endorsement by the AAPC of the program content or the content sponsor. Credits obtained prior to certification with the AAPC will not be recognized for continuing education unit requirements, okay? So this is if you have your certification already and you want to take this as a precursor to something else. And let's just say you have the CPC and you want to take this. Well, you need to make sure that you complete the other requirements. But if this was part of your requirements as far as like coding education, this is coding education, okay? So this is something that you got to know. But pay attention to how much they want from each domain, if they want something from each domain. You know, I don't know how that works with AAPC, but anyway. It says continuing education begins after a member obtains certification, okay? With ACDIS, if you are a member of their association, the Association for Clinical Documentation Integrity Specialists, this also qualifies. This program has been approved for 35.5 continuing education units towards fulfilling the requirements of the Certified Clinical Documentation Specialist certification. So if you have the CCDS and you say, okay, well, I want to like brush up on my knowledge of this, 35.5 CEUs you'll be earned once you complete this program, right? And then AHIMA, this program has been approved for continuing education units for use for fulfilling the continuing education units requirements for AHIMA. And then it doesn't say how much, but I'm thinking it's about the same because it doesn't say, but it'll say on the certificate how many CEUs it is approved for. There's a few other ones, the ANCC and the NAHRI, the National Association Healthcare Revenue Integrity, okay? So there's a lot of ways to earn CEUs, again, going to the national conference, taking classes online like these, okay? And so that way you can get more education based on, you know, whatever it is that you need. Let's just say, for example, you have the CCS, right? And you want to have some more in-depth instruction on inpatient and you want to go with this one. Well, this is a good way to earn a lot of CEUs. So, but that's just something that you have options about. Yes, there are free CEUs. However, time is money, guys. And if you're just looking for those free CEUs, they may not fulfill all the requirements needed. Because like I said, maybe AAPC has their domains that they need you to have like a certain amount in, okay? And maybe the CEUs that you're collecting don't quite match up to those things. So you have to know that, okay? You have to know that. And it's not an excuse to go out there willy-nilly spending money trying to find all of these CEUs. They do get expensive. Be smart, yes. I've seen plenty of vendors that they will say, well, when the updates come out, they'll do a presentation about the coding updates, and they have CEUs attached for that. And sometimes they're free and sometimes they're not free. It all depends. I know AAPC does include some CEUs with their membership, obviously. AHIMA does as well, and it depends on if you have the standard membership. It's like 4 CEUs, and then if you have the Premier or the other one, the one that's the highest, I think it's Premier. I think it is. I think that's what it's called, but you get 8 with that one. So 8 CEUs, for the year. And so when you think about it, that's, 16 that you can have in a 2-year time period. And then you're looking for other CEUs that you can get through your employer, or, taking an online course like that. It's not required that you have to spend all that money. Okay. So please don't panic. But it is an option if you do need it. Okay. And like I said, for me, I'm getting my CEUs, and it's falling into the domains that it needs to, because when I went to the national conference, I did earn CEUs from AHIMA while I was there. For every class that I took, I earned CEUs. And so some of the CEUs I've already reported. So I'm about there, to complete my requirements. And that's just in this year. So, I can still obviously earn more CEUs, and that's totally fine. But, it's not going to count towards anything until I have another credential that needs something, So that's just something that you ought to know. So don't try to think that you're going to rack up a bunch of CEUs beforehand and then, oh yeah, I'll be ready. No, that's not the way that it works. If you have the student membership with AHIMA, I've had people say, well, there's no CEUs that you can get with that membership, with the student membership, because you're still a student. You don't have your certifications yet. So that's why it's not a perk of that particular membership level. I'm just saying. But anyway, just know that there's a lot of fun and cool things to do. There's a lot of ways to find free CEUs. Please do not ask me, guys, because I'm not in the business of saying where you can find the free ones, because they're everywhere. And you can even Google them, and you can go on LinkedIn. There's a lot of vendors that offer free CEUs. And sometimes you'll find them. They're doing a whole blitz about them. And okay, then you can just sign up for those classes and then get the CEUs and report them. And then, that way if you have all the CEUs that you need. And it's always a good thing to start as soon as possible, and not be like these people trying to wait till the last minute, and then they're trying to report their CEUs and they don't have enough, and then they're panicking, and then we're like, what do I do? And, and then they end up losing their certification. Their certification lapses because they weren't able to fulfill all those requirements. This is a responsibility that all medical coders have, is to report those CEUs. There is no excuse for waiting until the last minute when you know that this is a thing that you have to do in order to maintain these certifications. It's the same thing if you're with AAPC. You have to pay that membership every single year to be able to maintain it. And on top of that, you got to pay for those CEUs, okay? So that's something that you got to know, guys. With AHIMA, you do not have to pay for a membership if you don't want to, but they will charge you separately to report your CEUs, which you do have to report when you have your certifications, okay? In order to maintain in good standing your certification, you do have to report those continuing education units. And always keep track of those records, okay? Keep track of the certificates and everything else that you have to prove that you went to those classes, that you did go, and you have the certificate and things like that. Make sure you get those, okay? So that way you always have a way of keeping your records, okay? Keeping your records right, because at the end of the day, it's a very big responsibility having these certifications, or certification, it's a very big responsibility. So you want to make sure that you take it seriously and that you are doing everything you can in order to maintain it. And the maintenance of these certifications also helps you to maintain your knowledge and increase your knowledge. I'm just saying. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.